Chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes, episode 110. 110 people, 110 episodes of MinneZona. It's pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. I can't believe it's 10 episodes ago. We had 100 episodes. Now 110? It's crazy. But without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way from Woods and Shore Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Volta Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
It's been a week. It's literally been a week since we've had the show. It's been a week this week, and it's only Wednesday. That's all I've got to say so far.
It's only Wednesday, but here the good thing is that it's MinneZona Day. It's usually on the Wednesdays, of course, at 7 p.m. We're happy to be here. We've got some things to talk about. I mean, we got some table topics to go over tonight, which will be really fun to go over those because we got some good ones tonight. I'll say that. We got a lot of facts that we can throw at you, too. But not much happening with the Minnesota sports in general. I mean, there's been some president of basketball operations for the Wolves that just got recently hired. And the Twins, who would have thunk? They're playing well. Who would have thunk? The Minnesota Twins playing well. They lost today, but, hey, they're on a 6-game winning streak. I think Case was cheering in the background there, I believe. So
Trying not to cry mostly. That's what he's trying to do.
There you go. Well, there you have it. So we got that going on. Table topics, Tater Tot, Hot Take, ARA, Absurd or Approved. So a lot on the docket tonight, and we're going to have some fun because why the heck not, as the Curve Doctor likes to say. So let's get things going with some Tater Tot. Whoa, Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it's time for some Tater Tot Hot Take. Tonight we start off with the Timber Pups. Big news out of Minneapolis. The MinnesotaTimberwolves have agreed to a deal with TimConnelly to be the new president of basketball operations. He agreed to a 5-year deal, $40 million. That includes ownership equity to oversee the Wolves' basketball operations. So, the Wolves announced this hiring on Monday, and there's a lot going on with this. Ever since Gerson Rosas was booted, and then Gupta has stepped in, and actually I thought has done a good job, in somebody's stead. But the Wolves kind of go out and they try to hit a home run on an executive that has done very well with the Denver Nuggets, has gotten an MVP guy. With Nikola Jokic, the Joker, and have they've shown that they're a team to be reckoned with. Unfortunately, losing in the playoffs this past season, but the Wolves are going all in. A-Rod, Mark Lowry, getting a guy that they think can turn the ship around, and there's a lot of good things to be had with this team. Hopefully, he can add more pieces to an already pretty good lineup. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on this deal with Conley?
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting move for the Timberwolves because of the fact that, like we talked about, he's been with Denver and turned that franchise of a shell of what it once was, hearkening for the days of George Karl and Carmelo Anthony, when Chauncey Billups and AI were also there for a hot second as well back in the day. And now he turned that franchise into, it's somewhat of a contender a little bit. They're still missing a piece or two from that team. Jokic is a MVP 2 times as well, out of a very interesting background that he has too. But he's turned that team into a contender with the moves that he's made through the draft as well, and also signing a player like Jokic as well to become a MVP caliber player. I think this is a strong move for the Timberwolves just because of the fact they've struggled to find that right leadership in the GM basketball operations role for a number of years. I thought maybe we found the guy with Rosas, but we all know how that kind of ended up as well, and it just did not go well from that point. And of course, when you find the right guy, of course something comes out like that, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty on brand for Minnesota. So I think this is a huge move for the Timberwolves. So hopefully start getting some interest in some other free agents to come in and, maybe be part of something special with the Timberwolves.
Agreed. And let's not forget having Jamal Murray too is a big get for them. I mean, the Nuggets were a sneaky good team these past couple of years, and it's something to look at, and then come to this franchise who's already made the playoffs, and granted should have won the playoff series against Memphis, but we won't go down that route. So he's been with the Nuggets for 9 years, and I think it was time to move on. But it looks like Lauri and A-Rod are kind of going all in on making this a organization that people want to or players want to come to and whatnot, and keep getting hopefully top tier free agents too. But there's a lot to be said about that. Things look good and whatnot. But here's my question, and this isn't something that I'm going to sit back and say, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's drafted really well. I mean, like we were saying, Jokic and Murray. But we have to remember that we've had guys that we thought were good in the past. With Tibbs wanted to control over everything, right? David Kahn, well, he was just terrible in general, so we don't need to go there. Flip knew what he's... McHale,
Kurt Rambis.
Yeah, Kurt Rambis, thank you. Kurt Rambis, another one. L.A. guy, too. And this guy seems like he has more... He knows what to do with this role. He knows what to do with these players, with an organization. He's done it with the Nuggets. Now, I think what the Wolves did, and all respect to A-Rod and Lauri, and obviously my thoughts on A-Rod with baseball and whatnot are what they are, but they kind of waved some money and said, listen, man, we want you, we really do, and we want you to kind of keep us consistent. And I think that is the main thing with this team, is because, or this whole franchise, I should say, because they haven't had consistency. It was more like, KG, a couple of years, they were good. But after KG, it was abysmal, absolutely abysmal. And then you go factor in the Jimmy Butler stuff going on with that, and, things not going to plan with him, too. That is another factor into this as well. So I look at this from the perspective of hopefully he can keep us competitive and not be the team that has the losing culture and isn't very good, don't attract high-quality free agents. This is going to be an interesting offseason here for the Wolves. But I think he is very up to the task. And Voldy, what's weird about this too is that he's going to be one of the NBA's highest compensated executives. Yep. That's interesting. That's interesting to me because they must really believe in him, and I guess we got to as well. So if Munson's watching right now, I hope that he's happy with this, because
I hope so too.
Because I would hate for him to be like, I think this was a terrible get or this or that, but I like it. And the thing is we just got to see how it ends up. And I think Gupta did a great job at being the interim too. So I wonder if they maybe considered him a little bit, but hopefully he stays around the organization. I think after that whole debacle with Rosas, I think they probably would have considered him too. So with the players that they have, Voldy, before we move on to the Twins here, with the players that they have, what would you get? And then I asked this to the zoners too. What's your guess on who they could, look at, or like what positions of need do you think that they need going into this offseason here? What do you think that they should address? Should they address, a big man? Should they address, maybe another shooter? What do you think?
Me being the great basketball mind that I am here on the show, my initial thought when asked this question, mine would probably say shooter for some reason. I don't know. I feel like somebody that can definitely rack up some buckets early on would definitely be beneficial. because we kind of need like another D'Lo, another D'Angelo Russell for some reason, somebody that can shoot a little bit better than D'Lo, unfortunately, at the same time, because we already know that, Ant's going to try and take it to the rack. And then you got Cat as well, who can get a board, who can hit from the outside as well. Well, you need somebody that's definitely not afraid to, sit out for a 3 or something like that, but also know when to take it in as well and take it down low or whatever you need to do. So I would say definitely a shooter. It would be my initial thought.
That's not a bad get. But if I were to go for myself, I think it's big man. And
Right.
I say big man because I like what I've seen from Jared Vanderbilt. I think he's a great guy off the bench, and he gets rebounds. He's not afraid to get into the paint and, cause some damage, get rebounds. And also, he's an offensive weapon, too. Don't get me wrong. But I think they got to look at a big man to help out Cat. And we all love Cat. And I think adding another big body, and granted, I do like Nasri too. And it's like, well, what about Nasri? I do like Nasri. I think but I just think a bigger type of guy, you can add 3 towers to, the post. And then teams are going to have trouble scoring on you down low, easy baskets, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like you're saying, I think shooter would probably be number 2. Granted, D'Lo, that playoffs was abysmal for him.
Yeah.
And we saw exactly, I don't know what was going on, if it was mentally or whatnot, but we needed him big time, and there were some questionable shots that he took in that series against the Grizzlies that we're still kind of scratching our head, granted. So, those are probably my 2. I think they're going to probably look towards a big man because I think it would be beneficial for this team. I really think it would be beneficial. Ant's going to still Ant's going to do his damage. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And he can hit from outside, whatnot.
Yep.
Cat, obviously, since he's a big man. So I like what I see. The question is what is Conley going to add to this team here in the offseason? But we're optimistic, and it's nice to know. Hey, the Wolves went to the playoffs. They still have the guys that were in those playoffs, and now we're gonna be. I mean, we might be good. Who knows? We'll see.
Who knows?
We'll have to wait till next year. But there's a lot of good things happening with the Timberwolves, which I'm happy about.
Right.
All right, let's talk to another team. Let's talk about another team that's doing pretty well here too, Voldy. The Minnesota Twins. FYI, I don't know if zoners have heard, or Voldy, I'm sure you have heard, but the Twins are leading the AL Central right now. That's pretty good.
Yep.
If my iPad was up, I think is up to date now. The Minnesota Twins still hold a 5-game lead over the White Sox, who are the next closest team to maybe overtaking the Twins. Not so fast, my friends. The Twins are doing really well. Yes, they lost today, but, streaks come to an end. We get it. But this team has shown some resilience. And you know what? I'm going to say, Voldy. You know what I'm going to say. Their pitching has done pretty well. It's been good. I've been happy.
Yeah.
The one thing, and I think we talked about this last week, Chris Paddock, losing him was kind of a bummer, but Sonny Gray's stepped up. He's done a good job. Is Kenta Maeda coming back? Do we know? Do we have any indication?
I don't no idea anymore.
Yeah, who knows? Ryan has been fantastic as well. I mean, things are going pretty well for the Twins. They're high up in the rankings. People are buying stock. Easy A says the Twins are blowing my mind. Voldy, are the Twins blowing your mind too? What do you think?
Dude, this has just been a very weird start to the year because of how good the start of the year has been. There have been some points, where there have been a couple of lowlights, but I think it's just really been an overall balanced approach. The pitching's been good. The hitting has been good. There have been games where they've won, 10-0 or, 12-2. There have been games where they've won like 1-2-0 or something, 1-2-0 last night, where the pitching has been very solid. Like we talked about, losing Chris Paddock, unfortunately for the rest of the year, does kind of hurt because it's also making that Taylor Rogers trade look like trash for the Twins because I think he's blown like one save in 15 opportunities. Has got like a .6 ERA. So the Padres are already winning that one in the trade situation. But and you look at some of the arms that they're throwing. Josh Winder has made a couple of spot starts. Devin Smeltzer is finally getting some reps as well that he definitely needs in a Twins uniform, not at the St. Paul Saints anymore. We've also got, Sonny Gray, like we had talked about. Him getting a late start to spring training and then, being stretched out these last few starts. I mean, he twirled a gem last night, and it shows that, he's a gamer. He's out there. He's trying to get his outs and work it a little bit. Chris Archer as well, a very nice surprise in the rotation too. Joe Ryan, before he got hurt, I think he's on the COVID list now, at least for the next few days or whatever. Right. So that's going to hurt a little bit, but it's been a very balanced approach when the guys are healthy. Of course, on the offensive side, Byron Buxton's battled through a couple of things. He's hitting sub 200 right now. He's got 11 home runs, but when he's fully healthy and working, it's been good to see. Gio Urshela has picked things up.
Yes.
When Carlos Correa has been healthy, he's good. And some of the younger guys coming up, Celestino, Royce Lewis as well. Some of these young guys from AAA. I don't know how much longer we're going to be without the services of Alex Kirilloff, or if he's just going to be hanging out in AAA for a while to finally fix some things. But when he was going, or actually he hasn't really been going all year too. But again, the entire lineup, you look at it at certain avenues, and things have been going really well. And it's just been really balanced, and it's really freaking me out overall about how well things are going so far.
It kind of puts things into perspective a little bit. And, we can sit here all day and say, like, well, these guys are doing well. I mean, Gary Sanchez, I think, is a guy that we got to consider playing well. I mean, he's hit some key home runs in big games. And the Twins have been able to come back into games. They were down 5-0 against, I think it was Kansas City or
6-0, I think.
6-0, yes, thank you. Yeah. Perfect. 6-0, and they came back and won. I mean, that's awesome. And Caitlin Toner's going to like this, but Max Kepler has really turned it on here as well. He's hitting .248, and he didn't have a great start to the season. I mean, he was hitting maybe $178, I think I saw. And now he's hitting .248, and then he had that nice grand slam the other night. And that's going to help, down the road here. Polanco, he's usually solid. There was that one year where he was hitting home runs, and no one knew how the heck that was happening. But he's been able to, do what he does, and he does it well. Larnach had a home run today, too. I mean, Larnach, that's a guy that I really like. Whenever he's in the lineup, I feel like good things happen. But with someone out of the lineup, Miguel Sano, he's nursed. I think he's still nursing that injury he sustained. And the weird thing is that it's actually turning out pretty well here for the Twins, which I don't know. There's some telltale signs that the Twins might say, well, we're doing pretty well. I don't know if we really need you, but I don't know. That's up for debate with other people. And then, obviously, Buxton. Buxton, we all know what he can do. He dives for fly balls. He can smash the ball with 11 home runs, and we just got to keep him healthy. We keep saying it, but it's true. He's still hitting .202 now. So let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's have that average go up a little bit because we're paying him a lot of money now.
Yeah, seriously.
Because we had to force the poll ads to do it. But there's that. So with that being said, they're hitting. I'm not concerned about their hitting. I mean, this isn't the Bomba squad now.
Right.
Let's be honest. No Nelson Cruz. It's not a Bomba squad. The pitching has been good, but Voldy, I feel like we've seen this before. You know what I mean? They do really well, and then all of a sudden we're on the hype train. We're we're having a great time, but then we go off the rails. Go off the rails. So hopefully it isn't a slump where we're losing 10 in a row or we're losing 12, 13, things like that. Voldy, what do you kind of foresee this because history says so with the Twins? Do you think this could come off the rails here? What do you got?
Yeah, I feel like every team goes through it. Through every single season, there is going to be a bad couple of weeks. For the Twins, when it's a bad couple of weeks, it's a month. There's usually when the Twins were subpar, we're contending for the division. They usually get one good solid month where they play really good. And everybody's like, watch out for these Twins. And at the end of the season, they end up faltering within the last couple of weeks of the regular season. That's usually how it goes. But I feel like with this group, as long as they stay healthy and continue to do a lot of the little things with, obviously they're not going to blow you out of the water with the amount of home runs they're going to hit. They're going to get their home runs. It's not going to be, scraping by with just maybe one guy hits 20 and, that's how it's going to be. And, maybe scratch through with 100 home run type season. No, they're definitely going to get their home runs. It's about, playing the game within the game a little bit and, hitting for extra bases and playing good defense. I feel like that's going to be their strong suit this season. If the bats stay healthy and then also if the pitching, stays healthy as well, because they've got a lot of arms to work with. Yeah. It's just about some of those main guys that they need to really stay healthy is the thing.
And the guys that they went out in free agency and get the Sonny Grays, the Archers, and things like that. Pagan, I've liked Pagan. I like what he's been doing too. Bailey Ober has done some good things.
And he has.
Dylan Bundy. A lot of people are like, why do we have Bundy up here? But he's actually been doing pretty well. He's 3-2. ERA at 4.54. Obviously, you want that a little lower, but hey, I don't think any of us are complaining too much because if it's up at 5, well, we got issues. Easy A says Sano can stay injured. He's bringing us down. Voldy, let me show or end the zoners too. What his average is at because
not good, Bob.
It's
not good.
It's a 93. 93. That is not good. And, he turned it on, but then he got hurt and whatnot. I don't know how that's going to pan out. Everyone knows my deal with Baldelli, but to answer the question on it, I think it might. I'm not saying it would. I'm not going to say it's going to go to a point of, okay, abandon ship here. I think that they're going to go into this strong. And if they're leading the division by the All-Star break, or lack thereof, I should say, they should be buyers at the trade deadline. They have to be. If they are not, I swear, this can't continue with this team. If they are not buyers at the deadline, because they are on the precipice of winning this division. They look better. They look better than all the teams in the division right now. I mean, the White Sox, no one knows what's going on with them. They're at 500. People picked them to win the AL Central now. Mm-hmm. So where's that at? Where's that? And Kansas City's at the bottom of the barrel. And Detroit, same with them. Cleveland's still trying to find their identity. And their last 10, they're 3-7. Kansas City's 2-8, so I'm not worried about them. But I think they're going to win the division. I really think they're going to win the division this year. And I know it's really early to say that, but I believe it. All right, we got some zoners chiming in, especially the Kerf Doctor. Forget Dylan Bundy. I think Dylan Kerfman's going to do a great job drinking Gatorade in the dugout.
Absolutely.
That's true. I got to give him a triangle for that. Boom. That's pretty good. I think I bet Dylan could be a better pitcher than some of these minor leaguers. So we'll put it like that. Easy A, buyout option to get him off the team. I assume Sano. I would say you'd probably get more for trading him at this point. I wouldn't just buy him out. I'd trade him, get something for him, for one. Easy, yeah, I can just tell you're not a big fan of Sano right now. Sano is so bad that no one wants him in a trade, and unfortunately, we may have to release him when his contract is up. Maybe they don't want him.
Should have traded him in 2019 when the stock was at its absolute highest.
You said that last week, I believe. So
I did.
I mean,
I've been saying it ever since he hit 30 home runs.
Right. So there you go. Voldy said it. I'll also send him down to the minors, and he can stay there. Is this going to turn into a Kenny Vargas thing? That's my question.
Big Kenny.
Yeah.
I
Kenny
loved
Vargas,
Big Kenny.
Yeah. That's a good where are they now? That's a good where are they now. So we'll keep that one in mind. But, yeah, I'll say it here. I think the Twins are going to win the division, but let's get out of the first round. How about that? Mm-hmm. Let's start with that. Let's first start with that before we get into more. But let's keep it going. That's all we can do right about now. So, all right, that'll do it for Tater Tot Hot Take this week. Even though there wasn't much news. That was great banter back and forth and whatnot, and the zoners chiming in too. So we appreciate it. A lot of fun. But now it's time for some table topics. We have some awesome ones tonight. I was telling Voldy before the show, zoners, that we're getting through the deck here. So there might be a new batch in our future here. So just keep that in mind. We'll be on the lookout for up-to-date table topics. But we're still not through the ones that Mama Callahan gave us back with the sports zone. So we're still using them. So, but we enjoy table topics. So I say we get the table topics going. So it's time for some table topics.
The tables have been set. It's time for MinneZona's Table Topics.
All right. It's time for some table topics. We did this recent, maybe, I don't know. There's been so many interviews, Voldy, that I can't even remember when what special segment we had before we had all those interviews with Victorious P.O.D., Coach Bo, and all that stuff. But we're here for more table topics. So we got 3 of them tonight, per usual. Here is the first one. And Voldy, I've already kind of told you what these are, but here we're going to give this to the zoners. I think this is a good one, and I think with the Kerf Doctor tuning in here too, I think he might have a lot to say with this one. All right. Which sport is most at risk of dying in the next 100 years? One more time. Which sport is most at risk of dying in the next 100 years?
Okay, I had to think about this question a couple of times the way you've stated it. But go ahead.
So, Voldy, what do you think? And zoners, chime in. What do you got?
You know, if you really think about it, if there's one sport that's going to die off in the next 100 years, it's got to be American football. Because if you think about it, I really think so. I don't think, with the amount of money that is being handled around here, sooner or later, because you start to see the trend now, more guys retiring due to concussions, injuries that are faltering left and right, but at the same time, money talks. That's the age-old statement right there. But I feel like in 100 years, technology will become so advanced to the point that maybe there literally is just no way to cure the long extent of injuries of some of these long-time old football players that have developed such catastrophic brain injuries like CTE, and obviously the amount of long-term effects that has as well. But if I had to pick one sport that's going to die off in 100 years, it's definitely going to be football.
Well, here's another factor into it too. Concussions.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's another thing with that. I'm not saying football is going to die off in the next 100 years, and you might not be wrong on that. I mean, there's a strong possibility, but I'm not convinced. And the reason why I'm not convinced is that people are always going to love the game, and if the game is gone, I mean, what are you going to watch on Sundays is my question. And then, I mean, well, then again, who knows if we'll be around here in the next 100 years. But
I'd be very surprised if I'm 128 and still watching American football.
Exactly,
I'll tell you that
exactly. So, I mean, there's that. But I'm not – I think if something were to plummet or if concussions got so bad that they just had to stop it or they go with a flag football or – well – let's be honest, people wouldn't watch if it was flag football.
No.
But then again, who knows? But I mean, this is the most obvious one in the Kerf Doctor. I knew what he was going to say here. He said MLB baseball don't even need 100 years. LOL.
Yeah.
It's very possible. I don't like to say it, but it is. I'm in agreement here with the Kerf Doctor. The reason why I say that is because now that people have the short attention spans, okay, and not Denard span, by the way, the short attention spans of people now because the TikToks, the socials medias, people can only handle maybe 10 seconds or whatever, 15 seconds, however long you do your TikToks and try to make them cool for content or whatever. But having Gen Z or what's after Gen Z? I can't even remember. I mean,
I don't even know. Gen X,
whatever it is.
I don't keep up with those trends.
They just, yeah. And the question is, I mean, do people... are people going to sit and watch a baseball game, 3-hour baseball game? No. I'm just saying everyone. And I can sit down and watch it, but let's be honest, I'd probably have it on in the background than just sitting and just, watching like this. No.
Right.
I think it's MLB baseball. And I think they're trying to do, I'll say this. If Manfred passes it down to his kids or something like that as commissioner, it probably will be pretty damn soon. But I think it's baseball. I don't think you can. I think football it's easier to. I mean, that's almost a for sure thing. Basketball definitely for sure thing. But Easy A brings up one. Lacrosse. That's a good question. Lacrosse is an interesting one because I think there's enough popularity there, but professionally, I don't know. I mean, I could see that die off too. Tennis, I don't see dying off because, I mean, a lot of these, like golf, will never die off, but it doesn't mean that people won't watch. It's things like that. So, but yeah, so you got football, baseball. Kerf Doctor, MLB baseball. Easy A says lacrosse. And funny he says lacrosse because on the back of this table topic, the game of lacrosse is blank years old. Voldy, can you guess? And/or zoners.
Is there options or I have to guess a number?
I'll give you. It's in the hundreds.
Okay. Is it like 300 years old?
Tad bit higher.
Tad bit higher. 350.
A little bit higher.
500 years old.
Ooh. Tad bit higher, but not as much as you jumped up before.
Okay. 525. 525 years.
Higher.
Oh, come on. 600.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding,
Thank
ding, ding,
you.
ding, ding, ding. 600. The game of lacrosse is, in fact, 600 years old. Wow. So, I didn't even know that myself. So, for the zoners that want to check this out, game of lacrosse, 600 years old. You could probably Google it, but it's up to you. All right. Our next one for table topics tonight. I want to do this one last because I think you'll enjoy the last one here. This one I think is for everybody here too. So, which sport makes you the most nervous to watch? Okay. Which sport makes you the most nervous to watch? Zoners, Voldy, what do you got?
I don't know, the one sport makes me, I mean, if I'm watching it invested in my team, I'd say watching hockey, honestly.
Sure. Yeah.
Makes me nervous, because I just want my team to play well, and I don't want anybody to get hurt, and I want to win, obviously, is kind of the big thing out of it. So I would probably say hockey is one of the more sports that I watch that I get a little bit more nervous about because, it's a sport where there's a lot of high physicality.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you for that. And to be honest, everyone's, you're going to say football, which is true. It would be football. But let me give you a 3. Let's do with that. Let's go with that.
Okay.
I'll give you the 3 sports. So obviously football would be one, just because, Vikings. If you ever seen me watching a Vikings game, you'll know. And a lot of people who watch the show do know, for one. I'd probably say that. And then the next thing I would say, Voldy, is hockey, for one. Hockey, definitely. So the third one, it's kind of a toss-up, though. That one is very much a toss-up. It's between baseball and basketball. I've always liked a close game in basketball because of the high energy and whatnot throughout the game. You never know what's going to happen, that whole ordeal. So I'd probably say basketball would be my third, and that's not just NBA, which there has been some awesome close NBA games, but think about March Madness, Big Ten conference tournament, things like that. Not just the Big Ten, but other schools, NCAA and whatnot. But it makes you nervous because if somebody hits a shot, a 3-point shot, and you're up 2, and that is just or someone gets the game-winning touchdown, kicks the game-winning field goal. It's gut-wrenching. I mean, it really is gut-wrenching and whatnot. So those are kind of my 3 because those sports you can get really, really invested. But baseball is too. I mean, it's not just basketball for me too. So baseball's so I guess we'll do 4. We'll do 4 for myself.
Okay.
We'll do that. On the back of this card, though, and zoners, please chime in. What if you like? Which sport makes you the most nervous to watch? Go ahead, throw your thoughts out there, and we'll let the people know. So, here's the fact that we got, Voldy: the fastest skiing speed on record, set by Simone Oregon in April 2006.
Okay.
How many miles per hour? Can you guess? Or this is skiing now, so it's
skiing.
It's relatively fast.
We'll go 115.
Ooh, a little bit higher. It's close.
121.
A little bit higher than that.
Okay. 133.
A little bit higher.
152.
Just a titch higher.
155.
Ooh, just a touch.
160?
Yeah, sorry, 150. I'm sorry, you said 150. Okay, 156.2 miles per hour.
Okay,
I'm sorry. There we go. That's fast, man. I mean, holy crap. I mean, my goodness. I'd be freaking out if I were going that fast.
Gus Johnson would say, getting away from the cop speed right there.
There you go. And unfortunately, he got fired for that for some reason. But,
he
let
did.
Go, I should say. Let go is probably the best one for that. But,
he got fired, let's be honest.
Yeah. So which sport makes you the most nervous to watch? And I think a lot of people would say what we were saying too. So, I mean, it makes sense. But, yeah. All right, Voldy, you ready for the last one? I think you know what it is, but this is for the zoners, and I think the zoners might enjoy this too. And if Jimbo's tuning in, I think he'd enjoy this as well. What's the coolest looking uniform in sports? That is our final one, zoners. What's the coolest looking uniform in sports? Voldy, what do you got?
There's a lot of different options I go with here, and I'm probably going to name off a bunch. So, with that being said, we're going to go with the 4 major sports.
All right.
go with hockey, football, baseball, basketball. Even though I don't like basketball, but I'm going to go with it.
Sure.
The best looking uniforms. We'll start with my least favorite. We'll go with basketball, of course. With that being said, I would have to say there's just something about, and I hate to say this because I'm a Celtics fan. There's just something about the classic yellow Lakers uniform that's just, it's just harkens back to the glory days. Of course, Kareem and Magic. You've got Shaq and Kobe. Of course, Kobe himself. All those heydays as well. The Lakers. There's just something about that classic Lakers yellow and purple with the white letters and the numbers. It's just, it just sticks out. It just stands out to me. Going on to the next one would probably be football. Football is up there as well. Best looking uniform.
Straight cash, homie.
I'm not gonna pick. You know what? I am gonna pick it. Best looking one, the classic New England Patriots red jerseys with the white helmet, old Patriot pat on the side of it, making a comeback very, very soon for the Patriots. Old Patriot pat going to be back at One Patriot Place, and that is the best looking one of all the throwbacks out there. That is certainly a number one in my mind, and hopefully a lot of people's minds as well. Let's go baseball. This one just popped in my head as soon as we talked about this question.
Yeah.
The old Montreal Expos, the powder blue, the Twins powder blue as well with the red hats. Those are pretty good as well. But the Montreal Expos one with all the wacky colors that they had with the powder blue jerseys, the powder blue pants, and the red, white, and blue hats as well. Those are certainly one of the best as well. And then for hockey, I would have to go with best looking uniform. A lot of the what was it last year when they came out with all those modified throwbacks, the reverse retros, those ones. Yep. Those were some real good ones that they had out. But out of the lot, I would definitely have to say the Minnesota Wild reverse retro was pretty awesome to see because it combined the Wild with the North Stars, threw that all in the mix.
Nice.
Fantastic. Those are great. A lot of great reverse retros. Of course, you could have gone with the old Dallas Stars from the 90s and the early 2000s. The Boston Bruins with the old Spoke B, the purple and gold, not Lakers, but the LA Kings. Vegas, Vegas with the red jerseys, which was completely out of left field. I still need to get one of those, but those were all awesome to see. And I'm hearing some rumors as well. The reverse retros be making a comeback here next year.
Let's go. That's all I gotta say. Let's go. I won't go. I'll kind of give you my top ones of each four major. So let's start off. I guess we could start off with basketball. Let's start off with basketball. One of my favorites, and I've always liked this, the Toronto Raptors jersey, the Vince Carter, when Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady were together. The one with the Raptor on it, and it was blue. I have it. I don't feel like getting up and grabbing it, to be honest.
Bad show and tell time.
Yeah. I should have grabbed it before the show, before we got this going.
Me too. Yeah.
That's one of my favorites of all time. I mean, I don't know why. It just looks cool. It's awesome. For baseball, Voldy, I've always liked the Red Sox red ones. I've always really enjoyed,
you did.
Especially with Manny Ramirez and whatnot. I've always liked those. And then let's not forget Voldy, the Twins powder blues.
Yep.
Twins powder blues, I think, is one. I think Jimbo likes those too, if I'm not mistaken. And then for hockey, man, there's a lot of nice ones. But I gotta go with the Wild, man. I mean, the Wild retros are so sick. I always like, looking at those, and, I hope they do kind of, well, not too much yellow, but, it is what it is. But, like, the hockey, I probably say the retro for that with the Wild, I've always liked. I don't know, the Kings have had some cool ones, too. I've always kind of liked like you mentioned before, the purple and yellow, I think, or the blue and yellow, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
With the Kings. That throwback's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for hockey, I do that, and then for football, now this this is a wish list one, and Voldy, we keep clamoring for the Vikings to do this and do an all black jersey, either white lettering or white numbering lettering, or gold would be fine. Purple, we'd look like the Ravens, but. I don't know, something different that wouldn't make us look like or the black helmets. Just think about that. Think how cool that would be. But we've gone over that before. But like currently, right now, I really kind of like the Atlanta uniforms. The upgraded ones. I've always kind of liked their kind of layout of how they do their jerseys too. Now, they've got some nice ones. The Denver Broncos, I think, are going back to the older version. So like the helmets, I think they're going to go back to that look pretty cool as well. But the all orange, I've kind of liked that. The Broncos have had some nice ones there. So yeah, those are mine. But yeah, Zoners, let us know what you guys think as well. What uniforms that you like from any of those teams. All right, so for our last one, our last fact, Michael Jordan always wore the shorts of his North Carolina basketball uniform under his Bulls uniform, beginning the trend for baggier shorts in the NBA.
Right.
Thank you, Michael Jordan. That's all I got to say. Thank you, Michael Jordan.
Everybody who's seen Space Jam knows that story.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing new.
It ain't nothing new. Well, they wanted to give us the fact, and, well, we already knew that. Extraordinary Book of Facts was the source, in case you guys were wondering.
There you go.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, the GOAT, all that fun stuff. So that's going to do it for Table Topics this week. Awesome Table Topics that we had for this week. And like I said, the stack is getting shorter. So we're going to have to start looking at some new Table Topics. But
who knows? Maybe we may have to make our own.
We could. We very well could. We very well could. So thoughts, ideas for that, let us know. We'll get it set up for you. All right, let's get to ARA. A lot going on for ARA this week. A lot of stories that we got some opinions on. So let's get it going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, we head to the college football ranks where we're not talking about name, image, likeness deals here for this week. We're talking about the elimination of division. That is divisions in conferences. As it was announced that the Mountain West Conference will be eliminating its divisions in football starting next year, pitting the two teams with the highest winning percentages against each other for its conference championship. Now, this also followed the MWC after the Pac-12 announced that it's going to be scrapping the divisions after last week's NCAA Division I Council relaxed restrictions on college football conference championship games, allowing leagues to determine the teams that would participate. So basically they said, do what you want. As long as we get a good championship game, we don't care. Now, the legislative change also allows conferences to avoid having title game matchups determined by division winners. It gives them the freedom to eliminate divisions altogether as well. I know, I believe further into this article that I'm referencing to is that the Pac-12, starting in 2022, the title game will feature two teams with the highest winning percentages in the Pac-12. So the two best teams in the Pac-12 are going to be playing for the championship as well, as compared to one from the north, one from the south, one from the east, or west, whatever they want to call it, in those divisions as well. So is it absurd or approve the elimination of divisions? And should the Big Ten follow suit as well with the elimination of the old leaders and legends divisions?
Well, first of all, it's got my stamp of approval. And the reason why it has my stamp of approval is because the two best teams in the division should fight for the conference title. And I've always been in big belief of that. It's like, well, let's split them up and then have the top teams go against each other. Well, what if the other one sucks? To be honest with you, it's like, well, what if the second team sucks? If there's no division, it's like, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, it makes more sense to have the two best teams. I mean, you don't want to have. Let's just say, I don't know, let's just say Wisconsin has a down year and they have to take on who's in the other division. I can't even.
I don't even know. But the first thing I thought of when I heard about this, it reminds me of the old days when Virginia Tech would play Georgia Tech in the ACC championship, and Vodtech would just run roughshod over Georgia Tech because it was embarrassing, because Georgia Tech would win their division. They weren't great; they were just good enough to win the division. And then if it was in Virginia Tech, it'd be like Clemson or something before they really got good, and just beat the crap out of Georgia Tech to go to the one of the New Year's Six Bowls or something like that. So yeah, that's what I first thought of when hearing something like this.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of wrap it up, yes, I think the Big Ten should follow that lead as well. To be honest, because I mean, yes, the Gophers have come close, and yes, we've gotten to the point of, well, they're better than this school because they've taken on these opponents, or they've done better against these guys, those guys. It makes more sense. You don't have to do two divisions within the same conference. I don't know why they had it in the first place. I didn't like it in the first place, but now that they don't have the divisions now, we get the two best teams in that division, and they duke it out. That's how it should be, and that's how it should have been for the longest time. So it's got my stamp of approval for those conferences, the Mountain West and the Pac-12. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this has been a long time due for a lot of conferences as well, because like I'd mentioned, too, you could have a really good team in one division that's going to win the conference title no matter what, and then they're going to play some slackjaw team that just scraped by to win enough games to win the division and then gets embarrassed in the championship game for the conference, too. I see this as an opportunity for the Big Ten to right a lot of wrongs that they have in recent years. And this starts off with, well, hopefully not putting Ohio State in the national conversation with the conference championship game as well. Let somebody else try and get in for once. Because I thought initially when talking about this is going to be like, oh, yeah, the conference can decide which is better for their conference to have in the championship game. But no, it's the two best teams. So it's most likely to be Ohio State and whoever else for the Big Ten Conference Championship. Yeah. But as long as we know it's going to be two really good teams instead of, 1 year when it's Ohio State and they're going to be taking on, if God should ever happen, Nebraska or something like that. It's not going to be fair. It's going to be an embarrassing performance there for Nebraska, too. So it's got my stamp of approval. Yes, the Big Ten should follow suit and eliminate the divisions.
Right. I was going to add on, I thought of a matchup. Remember, I think it was it Ohio State versus Wisconsin? And I think Ohio State mopped the floor with it. Yeah.
A couple years ago,
or was it Iowa? I can't remember. But one of those.
Might have been Iowa. Either way, not good.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So, I mean.
But we're never going to get the glory that was that first Big Ten Conference Championship when Nebraska was good, with the first iteration of one of the Martinez brothers at quarterback against Russell Wilson and the crew for Wisconsin. And boy, that was a banger of a championship game.
Yeah, it sure was. So, I mean, we want those types of games, and I think you get that without having the divisions.
Yep.
That's what you should do. Just our opinions, but all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, this is an interesting one because I thought this was going to take a whole different route when we were going to talk about it, but MichaelVick is going to stay retired from football. It was announced earlier this week that Mike Vick was going to be returning to the football field just in the fan-controlled football league, the league that, Johnny Manziel made famous as well. And according to a report, on Sunday, the 41-year-old retired quarterback and now analyst said, I hung him up in 2015 to never return again. Had an amazing time and accomplished so much. I say they're going to stay hung up and I will not be coming out of retirement. But it would have been very interesting to see if Mike Vick would have played in the 8-team league, 7 regular season games, and its playoffs at a single indoor 50-yard field in Atlanta, 7-on-7, with gameplay being controlled by fans to call as well. Is it absurd or approved? Would you have liked to have seen Mike Vick play even at age 41?
I was kind of going back and forth on this because his comeback story is very cool. How with the dog issue or the very big controversy with the dog fighting and whatnot, and then to be able to come back and have a great. With the Eagles, he had great couple seasons, and that's all you can ask from a guy like that. But let's go to the fan controlled thing. I think people with this fan control thing are like, well, what can't we get more stars? Can't we get the Terrell Owens? Can we get the Johnny Manziel? And yeah, you got him, but I think Mike would succeed there. Would I like to see him play? Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I think he says he's hung him up, so keep him hung up. And it's not like he's going to be, sit there twiddling his thumbs and retire. He works out with some prospects, potential, high schoolers and or college guys he works out with, and he throws, he throws around. Favre, I think, does that too. As well. So, there's a lot that he can do with it, but in the fan control thing at age 41, you don't have anything to prove. It's like, well, you're making money, you're playing the game you love, sure. But, with T.O. doing it, we all know why T.O.'s doing it, because he's T.O. We all know why
he's trying to make a comeback even at age 50.
Yeah. And then you have, Johnny Bench, and he's just doing it because no one's going to get on him for partying too much and things like that. So, it would have, I guess I'd probably say it's absurd just because, he doesn't need to get involved in that. It's like fan controlled. It's like, well, what's the benefit of it? There really isn't a big benefit with this.
Exactly.
So, Voldy, what do you think?
And even if you do play, you get hurt, well, then everybody's just going to be like, well, told you so. You shouldn't have done it, idiot.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think with Mike Vick, I don't think really there's a whole lot much else to prove other than the fact that it's Michael Vick and maybe one last hurrah at it. It's too bad. Obviously, the whole situation, the dog fighting, and then him being in prison too. We already know that story and how it affected his career, but still put up some pretty decent numbers in the latter half of his career. When he was with the Eagles, he did really well. Unfortunately, couldn't get much long-term sustained success there. Then he bounced around a little bit and just was able to walk off into the sunset. And if he can live with it, well, a lot of people can live with it as well.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's just not, like you mentioned, he's throwing to prospects and keeping them ready as well. But, he's doing the NFL analyst thing. I think he's working with Fox, I believe. And, they're not paying him well, so I think he's got plenty on his mind. But I certainly would have liked to have seen what he's still got left in the tank, even at age 41. Because if T.O. can do it at 50, Mike Vick can certainly do it at 41.
Yeah, T.O. is in great shape. I'm not saying that T.O. is just going to be a complete bust in that league. He scored a touchdown or something like that. I still think the
dude is still a freak of an athlete.
Well, right, he's still
amazing.
I'd
like to see what Ocho Cinco could do.
Yeah, I think he'd do it too. To be honest with you, I think he would definitely do it. But the thing I was going to say too is that I wouldn't say that he wouldn't be successful, because I still think he can throw. he can chuck it down there. Mm-hmm. But he's also not only doing the analyst thing, but he's also doing a lot of charity work too. Mm-hmm. Especially with the whole dog fighting situation, and he's been an advocate of not having that happen to other animals and stuff like that. So he's been teaming with other people, and Tony Dungy, I think, has really done a great job. Compared to what he was back in, what was it, 2004, 2005 or whatever it was, and compared to now, he's a completely different person. So I don't know. I think he'd be somewhat successful in the fan-controlled league. So who knows? All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, unfortunately, the second half here of Absurd or Approved is going to take a little bit of a sour turn as the Colorado Avalanche are working with St. Louis law enforcement regarding threats that are made toward center Nazem Kadri following a Game 3 victory against the Blues this past Saturday, where threats were made following a series-ending injury to Blues goaltender Jordan Binnington after a crash and a collision, I should say, involving Kadri. As Kadri was going for a puck, him and Blues defenseman Calle Rosen were both going for the puck and then collided with the goaltender as well. The collision did cause a lower body injury to Binnington that forced him to leave the game and bring back in Ville Husso, who started the series and the postseason as well for the Blues. And it's very interesting because of the fact that there were threats made after the game as well, but a lot of them being of his racial and ethnic background as well, and of his religious status as well with Nazem Kadri, but also the fact even during a interview between periods and after the game as well that I believe even a water bottle was thrown at Nazem Kadri as well. He kind of played it off jokingly as well. But this also brings up the fact that threats were still made. And is it absurd or approved? I don't know if you've seen video of the hit or not from Nazem Kadri on Jordan Binnington. Is it absurd or approved, the hit itself, and should have led to a suspension?
I saw the hit, and to be honest, I think he was kind of leaned up towards the other guy too. So I feel like this wasn't a dirty hit, in my humble opinion. But from what I understand too is that he has had a history of some questionable hits, and he's been suspended before, fined, all that stuff. But in this instance, I think this was a situation where I don't think he was out to hurt Binnington in this situation. And if you have a different opinion on it, feel free to go in the chat here. But I looked at the hit, and it isn't enough to say that he should be suspended. He wasn't fined, was he? Do we know if he was fined or no?
No, I don't think he has been.
So if it's not enough for that, it just kind of shows you, okay, this wasn't intentional. Is kind of where I'm leaning towards. But with people going after him like that and throwing water bottles, and especially his beliefs and that's racism, guys. That's ridiculous. And no matter who it is, you should never bring race or his religious beliefs into that. You're just pissed because you think that Blues fans think that he went in and tried to hurt Binnington. I don't think he did. To be honest with you, from what I saw, but to make death threats is it's unforgivable in my humble opinion, and it's gone to a point where people need to realize that these are human beings. Okay, these are human beings here. And for you to call him, names and make death threats, it's ridiculous. What if somebody did that to you? Some of these fans, I think, sometimes don't think before they speak. And there's a lot of that, but it's I would say it's got my stamp of approval that he wasn't suspended or fined for this, because I think it was a kind of a, in basketball terms, a bang-bang play type of thing. But it's ridiculous that people are doing this to him, because there shouldn't be death threats on him like that. That's ridiculous. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Look, I am in agreement that it shouldn't have been a suspension as well. It's definitely one of those. You look at the play, you can watch it 1,000 times. At the end of the day, he wasn't suspended. He isn't getting fined for anything as well.
Right.
I have no problem with the play. Stuff like that happens all the time in every single sport. It just so happened to happen to the Blues, and the Blues fans are all butthurt about it because the fact that it took out Jordan Binnington. I'm fine with it, and I love the fact that this is happening in the Blues too. I hate the Blues, but I hate the Avalanche as well. So it's one of those where it's, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, I guess, in this one. I wish both teams could lose this series, but The threats themselves, it's a little bit ridiculous. This is sports. It doesn't, I hate to say it doesn't matter, but at the same time, look, these guys are getting paid millions of dollars. They're playing a game that they love for millions of dollars. Your opinion doesn't matter, really, honestly. You can get mad all that you want. At the end of the day, these guys are still going home. They're just people. They're people that are good at something that you wish you could be good at, as good as they are at it as well. If that makes sense as well.
Yeah,
they get paid millions of dollars to play a game, and you know what? If it just so happens they win a championship, it makes you feel good. But don't start getting into people's personal lives.
Yeah.
There were threats made against his wife as well on her social media.
Yeah.
She had to block everybody. I think she even had to deactivate her social media as well, to the ridiculousness of the threats that were made as well. It's got my stamp of approval. It was not a suspension. The hit was clean. It just so happened that Bennington was out of his crease, and his defenseman, got loved up on by Nazem Kadri, who was trying to go for the puck as well.
Right. Yeah. So people need to take a good look in the mirror. I mean, seriously. So, yep, I think both of us are in agreement here on this one. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, in another twist of fate here this evening, the Canadian Football League players have rejected the new collective bargaining agreement with the league, and the Players Union confirmed in a memo to its members that they are on strike, as the league and the Players Association had reached a tentative deal last week, but the latest offering was rejected, and this past Wednesday, a deal was tentatively reached 4 days after players from the 7 of the league's 9 teams went on strike, as this has been the second work stoppage in league history, first since 1974. But now it has led to another work stoppage, and thus a strike is going on right now, I should say, with the agreement that could be a whole bunch of different variables along with it, with increasing the salary cap for minimum salary of players, the return of padded practices, the minimum number of required Canadian players on the roster as well, and a bunch of changes that bothered many Canadian players, leading to the concerns that the deal would not be ratified for the regular season, which is actually slated to start here in a little over 2 weeks as well. Thus, a work stoppage is in start as it currently stands. So they'll get something passed. First games on June 9th most likely will not be happening as well. So is it absurd to approve? The CFL's in trouble of not returning again after missing 2020 with the COVID year and the troubles they've had with the league finances and possibly relocation of teams as well. Is the CFL in trouble of not returning again with the latest CBA rejection?
Yeah, I would say so because, I mean, to be honest, people here at the US of A, how many people are watching the CFL? Not many, to be honest. And
Friday night in the summer, and I'm not out. I mean,
not saying that it's. I mean, there's nowhere close to. It's nowhere close to what we have here, and for guys to have the opportunity to play, and there's been some players that have been in the CFL that have come to the NFL and have had some somewhat good careers, but I think it's in trouble because they, like you said, with the finances and everything like that, relocation of teams. I mean, that sounds like a lot of work there. So that's being factored in, but I think it gives some people some hope, though, that they could reach a deal because they had a tentative deal plan. But I think they're going to still talk. And, yeah, I think that June 9th date is definitely in jeopardy there. But it's, you gotta come to an agreement that, works for both sides. Now, is this going to turn into an MLB type of deal here? I don't think so. I mean, I think they'll figure out a deal. But it's definitely interesting because the minimum salary is going to go from $65,000 to $75,000. So by 2027. So you got to factor that in. It's all about, how is the money going to work and things like that. So they got to do it soon. I don't think they're going to get their first game in by then. But I think they could get a deal done relatively soon here because I I don't think this is a situation where everyone's far off base, but they're in jeopardy. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, you got to factor that in. But one thing that they could try is, I don't know, you could give Johnny Manziel a call and see if he would want to come back and do. But I don't know. Is he going to throw 4 interceptions again?
Yikes.
Sorry, I had to go there, but I did.
Had to do it.
I had to do it. Just because, and famous list and whatnot. All in good fun. Wink, wink. So I'd probably say stamp of approval. I think they might be in trouble here. So, Voldy, what do you got?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a little bit of a cause for alarm for the CFL because they're already on fragile ground. I know the CBA is just another straw that broke the camel's back a long time ago, that they've had their troubles with obviously a shortened season, canceled games as well. The finances haven't exactly been there, and talks as well with possible mergers with the XFL, or at least back in 2020 when the XFL made its way back into the realm of our consciousness. It's a very interesting situation. Will they get a CBA worked out before June 9th? It's tough to say. I would say maybe at least the first couple of games get canceled and probably to reschedule later this year before they get into the Grey Cup playoffs and everything.
Yeah.
Is it cause for alarm? Most definitely. Because, again, like the CFL's on fragile ground. A lot of players from Canada are slowly but surely making their way to the U.S. that have seen a little bit of success, but not the same amount of success that they had in Canada. But there's always that option because they already know the USFL is out. The XFL is making a comeback next year. If it doesn't work in this league, there is opportunity in the other league as well, along with a bunch of whole other players that are looking to make a name of themselves somewhere else as well. So it's definitely got my stamp of approval that this is cause for concern.
Yep. Think about the Manziel thing, CFL. Mm-hmm. Seriously. All right, last one, Foldy.
Well, again, a little bit of a somber note and just, bringing light to the situation. We talked about this a while ago, but BrittanyGriner is still in Russia, being detained as well after being arrested in the airport, revealing when her luggage was searched, revealing vape cartridges that contained hashish oil, which is derived from cannabis. And yet she is still there in Russia, even after multiple attempts to have her released, brought back to the U.S. And now BrittanyGriner's wife, Cheryl Griner, is making a plea to President Joe Biden to say that he is the only person that can, quote, use his power to get it done. And that meaning to get BrittanyGriner out of a Russian prison and back into the U.S., which is extremely unfortunate because of the fact that it's already come down the pipe now from the WNBA, their commissioner, now to the NBA with Commissioner Adam Silver as well. And then also looking at the possibility of even further ramifications. I know that Cheryl Griner spoken with the U.S. Secretary of State, I believe. She's a lawyer as well.
Adam Silver,
when she graduated recently. And this is bringing up a whole other set of issues as well, saying that the Russians are holding her for a bargaining chip to get back another criminal that's being held in the U.S. that's with some Russian ties too. And there's been, I believe, some reports saying that a one-off trade, one-for-one situation, you give us ours, we'll give you yours type situation too. Is it absurd or approved? I hate to put it in this frame of question as well, because obviously we're talking about a human rights, civil law issue here as well. But is it absurd or approved that BrittanyGriner may not be back in the U.S. by the end of the current WNBA season, which is ongoing right now? And I don't mean this as like if she's going to play basketball this season. I'm just saying this as a frame of time, because I think the WNBA season ends like sometime late. It might be the end of August or something like that. Like it's usually late summer, early fall.
Early fall.
It's usually sometime around the summer when the season comes to an end, right before things start getting picked up with like NFL training camp and things of that sort as well. So the time frame is what I'm more concerned about within the next few months. Is it possible that BrittanyGriner may not be back by the end of the season?
I think it's possible, but I want to go back to when we first talked about this and fully grasping the situation on it with the vape cartridges that contain hashish oil and whatnot, and that's to a maximum of 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. Come on.
Crazy.
Are you kidding me? This is I'm not going to get too political here, but that's stupid. That's honestly stupid. You know, I don't know why. I mean, what's the big deal? I mean, especially if she's dealing with like anxiety or depression or things like that to help calm her down, and then Russia using her as a bargaining chip. Come on. This is stupid. This is actually ridiculous. And I agree with her wife here, and it's having President Joe Biden get this taken care of, because Russia. We all know Russia is just not a place you want to mess with, especially right now. But also, you got to get her back, and it's like, well, if we get her. You'll get her back unless you give us somebody else. It's like this. We're talking about we're talking about people here. Trading people is ridiculous. So that's why we need the government here, the U.S. government, to step up and bring her home. Okay, bring her home. This isn't. I think she might. Honestly, I think she might play at some point here before the end of the season. And we want her to play before the end of the season. She's been there for over 100 days, I believe. Yeah. And that's ridiculous for just a little, little cannabis in a vape cartridge. A little cannabis in a vape. I mean, that's pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic. But I think that she's in good spirits, but she wants to get the hell out of there. And I don't blame her. I do not blame her one damn bit. So, and also, not fully understand. I mean, it's like if I was thinking if she had like a big, huge bag of, weed or something like that, I thought that was the deal. But no, this is little cartridges, like yay big, I don't know how it all works, but yeah, I think it's got my stamp. I think they're going to get her out sooner than people think, but there's some obstacles to jump through here. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, the whole situation, obviously, it comes in a twofold situation, because obviously she's being detained for drugs, that to deal with anxiety, to deal with depression, things of that sort. Yeah. Because of the fact that she's in Russia to help supplement her income, because WNBA doesn't pay enough to begin with, and professional basketball for women doesn't pay enough. While she goes over to a foreign country like Russia, where she's making $1 million a season. That makes a big difference in Russian dollars to American money as well, because WNBA players, once the season goes, they spend their winter over in, Russia, Turkey, France, and some go to, China, Thailand, or wherever the other countries that play bigger, professional women's leagues as well. Diana Taurasi played overseas for the longest time. I don't know if she still does or not, but she probably does, because of the fact that the pay in the WNBA is horrible to begin with. And that just brings up the whole situation, the fact that she has to be there in the first place, and now being used as a glorified bargaining chip for the Russians to try to, basically get one of theirs back. I don't know if it's maybe so much for their benefit as more of a power move for them to say, look, we've got one of your well-known people over here. We just want to put it out there to say that we can make you do what we want, even though we don't want the guy back, or a person or whoever you have, just to say that we took you down a peg or two to put you in your place. Yeah. And again, this is all a big power move as well. Yeah. And unfortunately, BrittanyGriner is caught in the middle of this whole situation, for lack of a better term, this glorified pissing contest between the U.S. and Russia once again. And that's just how it always ends up being. Is it absurd or approved if she may not be back for the end of the season? Unfortunately, I don't want to say it is approved that she's going to be gone, but that's what it's looking like right now. Yeah. Unless some serious moves are considered. I know that I think there's one gentleman that is working on it. He was former governor of New Mexico. I think he's a representative currently for the U.S. right now. He's He did organize a previous trade for a U.S. Marine a handful of years ago. So hopefully this gets resolved much, much sooner than we've seen in the past. And hopefully get BrittanyGriner back over and home safely, too.
Exactly. And it's, I mean, especially for what's going on right now, too. I mean, it's just, let's bring her back. Let's make sure that she's safe and whatnot. That's the main thing. So, all right, that'll do it for ARA this week. Great job, Foldy, with the stories. But before we move on, I happened to hop on the Twitter sphere here. La Tortuga is a Marlin. I didn't even know that, and he's going to wear 37.
He signed a minor league deal, and I'm just been waiting to see when he's going to get the call up.
Oh wow, La Tortuga in Florida.
Yeah.
All right, good for him. Good for him.
Good for him.
I
know he should still be a Twin, but
that's true. I mean, you have the fan appeal there, but whatever. Anyway, let's get into some Shield shout-outs this week because we do it every week because we have to. And we would love to. So let's get it going with some shout-outs.
Shield Shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shouting out tonight?
Well, we have one shout-out to give here this week and one shout-out only, and unfortunately, it comes with the fact that it will be a little bit bittersweet because of the fact it won't be celebrated on its normally scheduled time as well. This Friday will mark the 5th wedding anniversary between yours truly and creative consultant Mrs. Sarah Ann Tewsbold, who's sitting off camera here this evening, for putting up with me for the last 5 years. I do greatly appreciate the love, the sacrifice that she has put, not only from putting up with me in the first place, marrying me to begin with, moving to South Dakota after spending an entire year plus apart, living there for 2 years, then making the move back to Minnesota, and the craziness of my job that is, and then also bringing into the world the sweetest, cutest little boy, even though he can be a terror at times like he was this evening, Case Paul James Fold, to be brought into my life. She's an incredibly understanding woman. She's an amazing mom. She's a fantastic wife. And unfortunately, once again, we won't be able to celebrate our anniversary because I most likely will be broadcasting a baseball game. But hopefully, fingers crossed that I won't be as well. So an early happy anniversary to my wife, Mrs. Sarah Ann Tewsbold, creative consultant for MinneZona Sports Live. So happy anniversary, Ben. That's going to do it for Shield Shoutouts this week.
All right. Happy anniversary. Yes, absolutely. I remember that day well. Because
There's a few people that remember that day, and there's probably a few people that probably don't remember that day for other reasons.
We'll keep it like that. How about that?
Yeah.
That's not into me because I do remember that. I do. Yeah. Good times.
Oh, good times.
Great times. But yeah, congratulations. I can't believe it's been 5 years, to be honest with you. It's just
you're telling me.
Yeah, it's just gone by like. So there's
seriously.
that. But yeah, great job, Shield shoutouts, and usually we do this thing that we do that at the end of the show because we have to because we have merch people. We've got shirts. We've got hats. Yep, bam. There we go. Sorry, I had a quick change it over. There we go. We got the hats. $20, $5 shipping. We have the shirts. The gray shirts we are going to promote here. I am putting that on my list so people can check that out.
You mean like one of these?
Yes. We have those shirts, and we have the sizes and whatnot. And, Nick Vandenplas, too. You're not the only one that has their 5-year anniversary. My older sister, Katie, and Nick will be having their 5-year anniversary as well in August. So we have that going on as well. A lot happening. So congratulations to you guys. In August. We'll get there. But
we'll get there.
We'll get there. Let's see. So we got stickers, $2 for small ones, $3 for the big ones. So make sure you check those out as well.
Big ones.
Yeah, they're dope. We'll send them to you. Awesome. Also, check out W2 Performance. Our guy, Will Rattel. He's posting videos like crazy on YouTube. Check him out at www.w2performance.com, and also check out his YouTube page as well. He's been posting videos. Very cool insight from him. The Haas Project has been fantastic, so make sure you check that out. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for the stickers. Shout out to Jack O'Keefe, Jack's Junkyard. Shout out to the Breaking Into the League with Sam Gabrielli, Ryan Martin, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and special shout out as well to the victorious P.O.D, Ryan Walters, and Jack Vickers. Even though Walters picked the Packers to win the NFC North this year, which
You told him. You told him. So
he's
doing it.
Hopefully, Walters, and I see why there's some doubt, but at the same time, I like what I'm seeing from the purple. I'm just saying. I'm feeling good about it.
Can't hide behind glass houses. They're Green Bay Packers. Just saying.
I'll have to send you something, too. Nick Swartzen had this post, this Johnny Depp thing. Oh, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to the zoners as well if you want it. I'll send it to you. So it's very funny. But anywho, that'll do it for episode 110. A great
110.
Episode this week. 110 episodes of MinneZona Sports Live. So we appreciate everyone that's tuned in and have watched whenever. I mean, people watch live, people watch after the fact too, so we appreciate all you guys tuning in. So we're getting sappy at the end of the show, but we're just being nice. We appreciate everything that everybody does for us. So anywho, that's gonna do it for the show. And remember, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.